The Carolina Storyteller is a campfire-style storytelling podcast covering ghost stories, legends, and true crime. Some content may not be suitable for all audiences. Viewer discretion is advised.
Welcome to the Carolina Storyteller. I am Jonathan Phoenix, the Carolina Storyteller, and this is kind of a big day. It's our 40th episode. 40 episodes. I know when I started this podcast, when I hit 10, I thought, oh, wow, I've made it to 10. And then I thought 20 was a big number. But now I'm at 40 episodes. And it's been over a year now. We're in our second season. And it's a big deal. And the reason it's a big deal is for a couple of things. So I'm going to let you know. First of all, it's 40 stories. And so starting today, I'm going to do my build-up for the next 10 weeks to my 50th episode. And that's really the big deal. This is just kind of the start of the thing. And for my 50th episode, I've got some special things planned. I'm not telling you everything, but I am going to tell you this. For my 50th episode, I'm going to be doing a giveaway. Okay? And the giveaway is going to be based off of my Patreon subscribers. Now, my Patreon has 4 tiers. Okay, you can just go to patreon.com/Carolina Storyteller and subscribe for free and follow the Patreon. You can see everything that's going on. You can get all the news and the updates, find out what's going on there, hear the questions and things like that. Sometimes there's things that everybody can respond to, and you can see all the exclusive stuff. Or you can join one of the paid tiers, like the $3 tier, which gets you access to early releases and I think you get into the Discord. Yeah, early releases in the Discord. The $5 tier, which gets you the early releases, the Discord, gets you into live chats with me, and lets you get the releases of my audio for my books. And then there is the $10 tier, which gets you the early releases, the exclusives, the live audio for the books, gets you into the Discord. Everything basically comes with the $10 tier. So you've got 3, 5, and 10, all kinds of goodies going on there for just a little bit a month. And how I'm going to run this giveaway is simple. If you subscribe to my Patreon, regardless of the tier, you're entered into the giveaway. From each tier, I'm going to select one winner. So that means I'm going to select one from just free followers, just people that just follow me. You guys, you got a shot to get in. If you're paying $3 a month, one of you is going to be on the list. If you're paying $5 a month, one of you is going to be on the list. And then if you're paying $10 a month, one of you is going to be on the list. And from those four grand prize, tier prize winners are going to get some Carolina Storyteller stickers. They're going to get some goodies. They're going to get shout outs on the show. Might even say, hey, you guys want to come on the show and be a guest and let me tell you a personal story? I'll do that for them. Lots of goodies coming up. But then we have a grand prize winner. The grand prize winner is going to get a copy of Redcoats signed, a copy of Through the Flames signed. They're going to get the Carolina Storyteller hat, which you can see right now on thecarolinastoryteller.com in the merch section at the store, or just go to Printify and search The Carolina Storyteller. It's there, the hat, and some other goodies. I'm looking to get some other goodies in there, but the grand prize is going to be a lot of stuff. And you can get in on this starting right now, today, when you see this episode, simply by going to patreon.com and looking up Carolina Storyteller. Patreon.com/Carolina Storyteller. You can go to thecarolinastoryteller.com, click over on the tab that says Patreon, and it'll take you straight there. You can just subscribe. You don't have to purchase a tier, but if you want to get some of the exclusive stuff and the goodies, jump on one of the tiers. They're all really good right now because, there's not a lot going on there yet. But there is stuff coming, and you could be part of the tier. You could be part of the building from the foundation up, and you could get a chance to be one of these 4 winners and get yourself a shot at that grand prize that's going to be announced on June 1st at the 50th episode. Now, I know what you're thinking. John, you're giving away a grand prize. What if somebody's already got your book? Well, then you got 2 copies of my book, and one of them signed. Okay? Well, John, what if there are multiple people in one tier and only one person in another tier? Well, that's the beauty of the 4 tiers. Every tier is going to have a chance at being one of those 4 persons. And that's why I'm making it so that I'm picking one from each tier. So if you happen to think that your odds are better by going at a different tier than another tier, go for it. Increase your odds. I'm not putting it down. I am wanting you guys to come and do what you want to do to follow me, and I'm going to reward you for it. 4 people are going to get a prize. 1 person is going to get a really big prize. That's the difference. And that's my thank you to you guys. One of the things the grand prize winner is going to get is they are going to get to recommend the story that will be in episode 51. That's right. Episode 51 is going to come from, or episode 52 if it takes them too long, will come from the grand prize winner. I'm going to go to them and be like, okay, what story do you want me to focus on for episode 51 or 52? They're going to get to pick the next story. And that's going to be freaking exciting. I'm excited for it. I'm really wanting to know what you guys want me to talk about. So I'm really like, oh, it's a great idea. I can get a freaking listener recommendation. And not only that, but I may invite them onto the show for me to tell the story to them directly. So, giveaway. Starting now, winners announced June 1st. Go to patreon.com/Carolina Storyteller to sign up. All you have to do is subscribe. There's nothing to it. Or you can join the Patreon and support the show and get some of the exclusive goodies and still be entered in for a chance to win this awesome giveaway prize. It's just what I do, just for you guys. The next announcement, starting next week. So that's going to be the last week in March, I think, on Friday at 5 p.m. That's right, 5 p.m. I'm going to start doing a live kind of Q&A storytelling session. I don't know if it's going to be just on TikTok or on Facebook, but you guys can join in and be part of that live session every week at 5 o'clock. It's just going to be a little hour session. I'm going to talk to you guys, share some stories, share some tidbits, talk about the stories, and just communicate with you guys. Of course, the Discord is picking up. It's there. You guys can get to the Discord just by joining patreon.com/The Carolina Storyteller. And then you guys can get in and chat with me and things like that. I'm there all the time. Maybe you can jump in and play some video games with me when I'm running around in Minecraft trying to rebuild the Enterprise or something, whichever crazy thing I'm doing. Or when I'm on Final Fantasy XIV, taking my bard up to level 70. Because he's only level 60-something right now. That is our first and second announcement. Now, the third announcement is one I'm really proud of. I'm returning to Atomacon this year, May 4th and 5th in North Charleston. If you're in the Charleston area, it's going to be at the North Charleston Aeronautical Training Center at Trident Tech Building 1000, May 4th and 5th from like 10 to whenever in the morning. It's Saturday and Sunday. I will be there. I am on panels talking about ghost stories and Ghostbusters and Transformers, and I'm going to be hosting a game show. I may be judging the cosplay contest, and I'm going to be doing a live recording of The Carolina Storyteller right there in the cafe during the con. So you guys can come, you can see me, you can be part of the show live, all for just like $20 a day to get in, or $30 for the whole weekend. There's all kinds of fun stuff that's going to be going on. They've got a film festival, they've got a cosplay contest, game shows, make and take items, all kinds of cool things. There's going to be vendors, there's going to be authors there. Of course, fan casts. I think they're doing Rocky Horror Picture Show and The Princess Bride. It's going to be freaking awesome. I don't understand why you wouldn't be going to Atomacon May 4th and 5th in North Charleston, see the Carolina Storyteller, see all the other cool stuff. It's a no-brainer. I'd be going. I don't understand. It's a perfect weekend in May. Get there. Don't make me question you again. So that's our announcements. Sorry about the extended intro for today's episode, but I felt like because it's the 40th episode, I had to get big because episode 50 is coming and I'm super stoked. I've been doing this for over a year in this way. And before I continue on, there is one thing that I want to do. I want to dial back to the Patreon for a second, and I want to give shout outs to my current Patreon supporters. The 4 Patreon supporters, 3 of whom have been with me since I started this journey, 1 of whom has been following me around since I was on TikTok, and 2 of whom I know personally. They're my friends, and they've backed me up in doing all of this. So a shout out to Dragon Kovac, shout out to Truth or Demons podcast, the host Stevie. Big shout out to Adrian Nina. Adrian has been on my side since I started podcasting. He heard my first episode and he said, I'm going to support you. How can I do it? This is what I'm going to do. And he's pledged and he's stayed pledged throughout the entirety. He just like, yeah, I'm supporting you all the way. So he's been my one rock all the way through. And then Nikki Klein, without whom this podcast wouldn't have been, because Nikki is the one that looked at me and said, you should do a podcast where you just tell stories. And it just hit me. That's what I should do. I should just tell stories. And that's what I've been doing for the past 40 episodes, 6 bonus episodes, the Christmas episode, the Thanksgiving episode. I'm just telling stories. I love it. It's what I'm good at. So thank you to the 4 of you who have been there along the way. I hope more of you get to join that community, get to join up with them, get to, be a part of this with me as we continue on for the next 10 years, 100 years. Carolina Storyteller, yeah, 100 years, yeah. Carolina Storyteller, 100 years, yeah. It's my Rick impression. You're welcome. On to today's episode. I'm doing a revisit. I'm going back to the beginning. I'm going to go back to where I started. The lovely Lavinia Fisher, right here in beautiful Charleston, South Carolina. Well, I'm not in Charleston, South Carolina. I'm 20 miles north of it. But, right over there in beautiful Charleston, South Carolina. Lavinia Fisher, as we all know from listening to episode 1 of this podcast, was allegedly the first female serial killer in the United States of America. She, by legend, killed who knows how many men and women, all for the money, and brutally disposed of their bodies. She poisoned them and was just so callous and vicious. And in the end, she strode in her finest dress to the gallows and with the noose around her neck, looked out at the crowd and said, if you have any messages for the devil, give them to me now, for I will be with him shortly. And then she hung herself. It's amazing. She just took her own life. Executioner's sitting there ready to do his job. She does it for him. Can you imagine the disappointment of that executioner? Like, hey, I'm working here. Anyway, the problem with that story is that you and I both know that's not the truth. Lavinia Fisher may have been a lot of things, but there's no proof that she was a murderer. She just happened to be involved with some people who probably committed murder. They couldn't even prove that they committed murder. Lavinia Fisher was married to John Fisher, who owned the 6 Mile Inn outside of Charleston. They were considered very personable and friendly people, but Lavinia was considered a very meek and quiet person. John, on the other hand, was a very strong spoken, outgoing person. Lavinia didn't dress in like the finest silks and everything. She dressed like a normal housewife. She was a very normal woman. Yes, she had nice clothes, but they weren't like, ooh, princess walking around. But the ghost story of Lavinia has a woman in white in a fine dress walking the streets around the city jail. Now, I'm not doubting that the ghost of Lavinia Fisher may haunt the city jail itself, particularly the grounds where the very gallows she hung herself from. And yeah, she hung herself. She might not have put the noose around her neck, but she took the final step. It wasn't the executioner. I'm not saying that her ghost may not be there, but it is impossible for her ghost to be the woman walking in the fine white dress around downtown Charleston. Because what we know for a fact is that's not who she was. And she didn't even walk that way. When Lavinia was finally sentenced to be executed and everything was said and done, her appeals were done, they put her into a paddy wagon and they rode that paddy wagon down the street to the gallows where everybody was. They walked her up the steps of the gallows and she was still begging for her life up until her feet hit those stairs. And then when her feet hit those stairs, she flipped out, started cussing, screaming, throwing a fit, told the preacher to go F himself. And then she said her famous line. She said, "If you have any messages for the devil, give them to me now, because I will be seeing them shortly." And she hung herself. And about 6 years later, some carpetbagger from up north, let's face it, he was a guy from up north. I'm calling him a carpetbagger just because I'm having fun. Probably going to get canceled over that one. Oh well. Anyway, this guy from up north comes down, hears the story, and a buddy of mine, Scott Townsend from Your Comedy Minute, said to me, "You should never let the truth get in the way of a good story." And this guy, he didn't let the truth get in the way of the good story. Took John Fisher, turned him into some sniveling, sneaky little, "she made me do it" guy, and turned Lavinia into this demonstrous, horrible, scary woman who paraded down the street with her head held high, daring anyone to strike her, wearing the finest white silks. So now we have this story of this woman wearing a white dress walking down the street. Fast forward to after Lavinia's death, 1850s, and we start getting reports of a woman in white walking down the streets near Magazine Street. And everybody says, "Hey, that's Lavinia. That's the ghost of Lavinia." Everybody's forgotten that Lavinia didn't have that. Lavinia never wore a white dress like that. She never walked down the street. That didn't happen. So here's the problem. Lavinia Fisher was definitely a real person. Lavinia Fisher was definitely tried and executed for crimes. Lavinia Fisher's ghost very likely haunts the old city jail, along with a plethora of other spirits. I've been to the old city jail. That place has got vibes that'll frickin' throw you for a loop if you're not careful. It's definitely not the place to hang out if you're a sensitive type. And I'm saying that as a friend. Don't go there if you have like those sensations, because that place is not for you. But, and I say this, if what we know about Lavinia Fisher to be true is fact, then we have to admit that the legend and the ghost stories don't line up with the fact. There can't be a Lavinia Fisher walking the streets of Charleston. But it's been reported. It's been reported by people who didn't even know the story of Lavinia Fisher. People have claimed to see a woman in white walking those streets, downtown Charleston, near the Battery, around Magazine Street. A woman in a fine white dress walking those streets. It must be Lavinia, right? Really? See, this is where I want to theorize with you. You see, Lavinia Fisher's not the only tragic story to come out of Charleston. I mean, come on. We've had pirates that have taken control of the bay. We had the Battle of Fort Sumter. We've had sieges from enemy navies in there. I mean, Charleston has had its fair share of ups and downs over the past 260 or 300 some odd years now, because Charleston was 16 something, I think. This is an old city. It goes back. It's got some history. I mean, just look at the Angel Oak tree, 600 years old. This tree's got spirit surrounding it, and this city has spirit surrounding it. But there's one that fits the profile. Now, you might remember a few weeks ago, I shared with a good friend of mine from Ouch Was That a Ghost, Liz, the story of a young girl named Alice Flagg. The Hermitage. Now, Alice Flagg is supposedly haunting her grave out in Murrells Inlet. But nobody says she can't be two places at once. They thought Lavinia was in two places. Maybe it's just something residual. You see, Alice, when she was in Charleston before she got sick, had fallen in love with a stable boy. Now, I don't have the exact dates of when Alice died. I didn't get those. But what I did do was I went and got some maps of the city of Charleston back in the time that Alice would have been in Charleston. I wanted to look around and where the great houses were, where Alice would have been staying. The old city jail was not too far away, and neither were some stables. So it is feasible that the streets around the old city jails are the very streets that Alice Flagg would have walked to see her beau, the man she ended up marrying, the man who gave her the ring that she prized so much, the very ring that was snatched from her neck by her father and thrown into the marshes of Murrells Inlet just before she died. In fact, maybe the cause that broke her heart and caused her to die was the loss of that ring. And if her ghost searches for that ring, why wouldn't her ghost also search for her love? Now, this is theorizing. This is not me claiming that this is the story. But it's a lot more believable when you look at the facts that perhaps the ghost of a love-struck young woman who did dress in the finest and did have all these nice things is walking the streets of Charleston looking for the man she loved, as opposed to the woman who did not have these fine things and never actually walked the streets like that. Just something interesting for you to consider. A little brain teaser, if you will. Could it be that everybody's been mistaking young Alice or some other woman in white for Lavinia all these years? I think that's a definite yes. It's definitely somebody other than Lavinia. She's not walking the streets. That's not her MO. That wasn't her style. That wasn't who she was. Lavinia's ghost may very well sit in the old city jail. There's some stuff there. I've been there. I've seen and heard some things. I'm not saying I won't go back. I'm just saying I know to be a little wary. Be like, that place isn't the nicest place. It's not the best place to hang out. Let's not throw a birthday party there, okay? Let's throw the birthday party at Chuck E. Cheese's and not inside the old haunted jail, okay? Just saying. We don't need a birthday party there. I would believe that Lavinia's ghost may walk the grounds, particularly the grounds where that gallows stood, where she hung herself by the neck until she was dead. Because no man gonna take her out of this world. No, it wasn't gonna happen. Or, if Lavinia's ghost is there, does that mean there is another woman in white in downtown Charleston we've completely missed? Yeah, it does. There is a ghost in Charleston that I have to figure out who it is. Now, my theory is running Alice Flagg, and that's just because it fits. It kind of fits in. But you guys have seen detective shows. Sometimes just because it fits doesn't mean it fits right. Puzzles don't always work so easily. I'm running with that theory. I'm telling you that theory. I'm sharing it with you for my 40th episode. That I believe that the woman in white who stalks the streets of Charleston may very well be Alice Flagg. Because I know for a fact she is not Lavinia Fisher. That's our story for today, folks. I want to again thank you all for coming in for this 40th episode. I want to thank you so much for listening and supporting me and helping me get to this point. Over the next 10 weeks, I'll be doing some more stories. I'll be doing a couple of more revisits, building up to the big 50th episode. I'm not going to give you any hints to what the story is going to be or anything. You're going to have to find out on June 1st. Remember, we have the giveaway going on. To enter, go to patreon.com and look for Carolina Storyteller, or you can go to thecarolinastoryteller.com, click on the tab that says Patreon. All you have to do is follow, and you're automatically entered in for the giveaway. No ifs, no ands, or buts, but I really would appreciate it if you could select one of the tiers and support the podcast. You can get a whole bunch of exclusive stuff. You'll get all the fun stuff, and you'll be supporting this show. You'll be helping me out, helping me deliver to you more stories every week, more goodies, and just all kinds of spooky paranormal goodness. Again, it is patreon.com/Carolina Storyteller or www.thecarolinastoryteller.com, www.thecarolinastoryteller.com for all your Carolina storytelling needs. Remember, we have merch. You can order copies of my books, unless you're planning on winning the grand prize, and then you just got to wait until you win a copy of both of my books. You can get all the fun blog stuff. You can find out about my guests. All of it there at www.thecarolinastoryteller.com. That's the end of the show for today. Again, thank you guys for being here. Stay spooky, my friends. See you next time.